Welcome to another installment of Incorporation Tips. My name is Christopher Neufeld of Neufeld Legal, and in this particular video, we'll be discussing why you should not number your company. That means utilizing a numbered company as opposed to a named company. Now, from a perception perspective, especially when you're operating and you're engaged with the public or with other individuals, you do not want to have the perception that there might be something shady or untoward associated with the company, which is oftentimes the perception that one gains with respect to numbered companies. It just doesn't come off the right way as would a named company. A named company, especially when you're engaging with other people, at least reflects that you have an interest to be engaged with other persons, and you're not trying to make it somewhat difficult by having this amorphous number that is assigned by the government. Perception really matters. Now, from a practical standpoint, there is another significant benefit. You do not want to be consistently tying the company down and asking for people to make checks to this numbered company, because it's very easy, first of all, to get the number wrong. You have 6, 7 digits that you're looking at, and it always comes off, as we said, with that perception aspect. Meanwhile, you have a business that is invariably not operating on the basis of a government assigned number. Instead, it's operating under the basis of a name. And then you say, well, beyond the main company, should I have my holding companies be the named companies or numbered companies? And a lot of people go with numbered companies. But here's a rationale for even the holding companies to not be numbered companies. You have your primary brand. And as we said in other videos, it's important to have the brand associated with the name of the company. And likewise with your domain names and all your marketing materials. Now, you might have other subdivisions, sub-brands, other ideas even. And what you want to do is you want to find a way to protect them and that name. And an effective way to create that protection is to name even your holding companies these subsequent names, whether it's other brands or if it's future enterprises. Remembering that holding companies are not necessarily out there marketed, but what you are effectively doing by using a name as opposed to a number is you're using the government structure to protect and insulate that name for future use, because it really goes against anyone attempting to utilize that name in the future, because you have an effectively operating business, although it might be effectively a holding company, but it's still part of an operating business that is visible even in the slightest sense, because technically these holding companies don't get much visibility other than some very unique government websites that are difficult to access and find stuff in. But this allows you to protect that name for future use. So as hopefully your company grows, your main company that is, and becomes bigger and more successful, and you want to use this either for products, divisions, new ventures, new enterprises, you can then simply shift the name, because you have control of that name, to possibly another corporation that is not a holding company but now an operating company. A consideration to think of, and why it always makes a lot more sense to use named companies when incorporating as opposed to using a number. Hopefully this information has been of benefit to yourself. Sometimes you might want to be using a numbered company, but the tips we provide are to provide you with some sense of why we believe it's more appropriate to approach it in one way as opposed to another. Thank you.